Hello and welcome to Member Musing, a podcast brought to you by the Middle East and North Africa Leisure and Attractions Council. You're joining me, Brooke Hall, as I talk to council members about the thriving MENA leisure landscape. I'll bring you engaging dialogues on the sector as well as highlighting pioneering products, thrilling offerings and amazing accomplishments of Menalac members. Today's guest is an aquatic industry leader across the global leisure market. Welcome to founder and global ambassador of Wibit Sports, Robert Cirjak. Robert, it's wonderful to finally have you on the Member Musing podcast. Now, we've spoken a few times over the years, catching each other at Menalac events, but today I have more dedicated time with you to chat all things Wibit, water, and the MENA region.
Well, I'm super excited to share the Wibit story and the journey.
So let's get in straight into it, Robert, and talk a bit about Wibit because I think it's quite important for everyone to really understand what you offer. And of course, I always love to hear the story behind businesses. So, Wibit Sports has been in operation for many years and is known primarily for vibrant and adventurous inflatable water experiences. Now, these come from small floatable fun in hotel resort pools to huge obstacle course style parks that you'll find on lakes and in open water and seas. But Robert, I'd love for you to tell me in your own words a bit about the company. Tell me what inspired its inception, how it's evolved over the years, and is there anything you are particularly proud of?
Sure. So everything kind of started with a magazine. I was on a flight from Vancouver, where I'm originally from, flying back to Europe, and I saw this picture of this water trampoline. And I thought, wow, how cool is something like that? And having background in Croatia, I've always wanted to do something there as well. So I contacted this company. They were from Missouri, called Aquatoys, and they were shocked that I called them outside of their state. And I'm like, no, I'm calling you from Germany, and I'm interested in this water trampoline. And so they kind of, I guess by default, made me their European distributor or partner. The problem was those products coming from the US back then weren't really targeted or fit into our market. And I'll give you some examples. Um, we're talking pre-internet times. This was 1996. And they sent me like 200 videotapes. And because of the different system in Europe, I couldn't play those anyways. And all the problems we had with metric, were imperial. So everything had to be translated from inches and pounds to centimeters and kilograms. We did everything in TUV testing. So my German partner and I, we kind of said, hey, if we don't do this ourselves, it's never going to work anyways. So we kind of took this original water trampoline that was kind of designed for four people, and we've grown those to hold 400 people at the same time. So we basically flew to the Far East. I went to Korea, who had a monopoly on PVC, and we basically started manufacturing ourselves to fit this market, which was completely different from the US. So that's kind of, how things started. And we're looking at, again, almost 30 years ago. So we've come a long way, as far as how big these aquatic grounds can be. One thing that I've always been proud of is our Dubai tag. A tag is a name we coined for something that you can spell or write in the water. And we were approached by the Dubai municipality, and this is actually their official logo. And our challenge was to write it in the Arabic language from right to left into the custom colors and to make it look visually appealing. So we installed this on the JBR beach in Dubai, and right across is the Sofitel. I kind of pretended to be a maintenance worker, came on top of the roof, and I looked down and I could see the letters clearly written, spelling Dubai. And now it's become a landmark structure. I have so many friends and people who visit Dubai who say, "Hey, I saw your Wibit park and I saw the letters and we played on the water and stuff like that." So that's always going to be something special for me.
Is very iconic. The logo and then seeing it in images floating on the sea. Did you, at what point in the Wibbit journey did you become maybe surprised or excited that the inflatable water park sector was becoming such a phenomenon? Is there a certain point that you kind of saw it taking off, or is it kind of slowly developed and or have some markets around the world grown more quickly than others?
Well, we were surprised, and we called this seeding, is as soon as we sell one floating park in one country, it kind of grows by itself after that. The people see it, they get a place to test it. And strategically, we've tried to plant these seeds in as many countries as we can. And currently, Wibit is in over 100 companies. So we're very global. We speak 13 languages at our headquarters. We're really set up as a global company, a global brand. So it was this strategic planting the seed and then inviting the local people to come and test it and see it for themselves.
And how have the products themselves changed over the years? Sort of how often do you sit down as a company and say, oh, how can we elevate this further? Or do you have any things that inspire you? You said the original water trampoline was the initial inspiration. Do you receive inspiration and influence from other aspects around you that then make you want to apply that within the kind of aquatic experience?
Sure. So the most important word in our company's history is something we call amphibianization. So an amphibian is something, it can be an airplane, it can be an animal that goes from the water to the land and vice versa. And our inspiration has always been playgrounds. There's a reason why there's thousands of playgrounds in all of these, food outlets and shopping malls and everywhere. A playground is something that's very natural. So we took a playground and we said, hey, how can we change the playing field? So we call it amphibianization of taking a slide, a swing, a climbing structure, and placing that into the water. So whenever I'm looking at land attractions, I'm always asking myself, okay, amphibianization, how can we pick this up and place it into the water?
And I don't have your mind or your team's mind, but I think, yeah, just thinking about that simple thing, even I could sit here and think of a few things. Maybe they might not work in actual practice, but that's actually a really brilliant thing to consider. Give yourself a message and a constant way of driving innovation and creativity and seeing how that applies as well. And yeah, there's always water around us, as I mentioned at the beginning, even from kind of smaller bodies of water, pools, smaller lakes. But of course, all around the world, the world is mostly made up of water. So it's there for those destinations that are near the sea. But of course, more inland destinations, you've got lakes, some rivers maybe. And I know that you also have, can you tell me about the camps that you do? Yeah, tell me a bit more. I'm looking on your website and it mentions camps. Is this something that young people do regularly?
So, you mentioned water. Four-fifths of our planet is water. So we're kind of blessed to have, what we call a lot of real estate. Doing something on land can be very expensive, the infrastructure. So we were fortunate, to use water because it's simply everywhere around us. So wherever there's water, you could potentially install or play with a Wibit. And of course, camps, especially in North America, is one of our big target markets because you have these age groups. And today, the kids in our electronic world, they're always, indoors and playing on something on the land and indoors. And giving them a chance to go into the water, it's really natural. And just as an example, more North Americans are involved in water sports, be it fishing, boating, kayaking, than any other sport. So it's very popular. And again, we're fortunate to be able to have, this location as well.
Kind of on that, Robert, if we look at the MENA region, you're saying these camps are very popular in North America, and yes, there's lots of bodies of water going on there as well. But coming to the MENA region, we also, have water on our coastlines, and we have great weather all year
Yeah.
round.
Yeah.
And lots of local young people, as well as international visiting young people, or camps something that could work in the MENA region? Is that something that you're looking at, or maybe you can't
Well,
say?
we've been in the MENA region for about a decade, let's say intensively and stuff, and we've seen it grown every year after year. And in the beginning, it was more like, hey, this is a nice half, speaking for any aquatic, attraction. Today, it's become a must-have. And there's certain regions. Um, Obviously, Saudi is the main choice with the Vision 2030. Doing things in Jeddah. We've done things in King Abdullah Economic Zone City. Sorry.
That's
Um,
your, sorry
but
to interrupt you, Robert. That's the largest? Is it still the world's
correct,
largest?
correct, correct.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
South Saudi Arabia there in King Abdullah City. Um, but what I found interesting is lately we're seeing a huge return from Egypt. Morocco is off the charts. I think they're just completely doing things right, and tourism in Morocco is really booming. And we're seeing a lot of stuff coming out from those regions as well.
I've had some other guests speak about uh, countries within the MENA region and thinking really carefully about how they develop leisure, entertainment, and attractions, not just for their locals, but also for those tourists as well. So to hear you talk about Morocco and Egypt, we Menalic are definitely kind of seeing that development and growth in North Africa as well. So it's very exciting to see. And particularly if it's to do with water, they do get some cooler weather in North Africa, but it's still mostly sunshine. And so I think that sounds like, yeah, a good start for them to go to that aquatic fun, which they've obviously seen doing extremely well across the MENA region, but also the globe as well. How physically challenging, Robert, are these large scale obstacle style courses? Can you describe? I'm sure you've been on them, and your children as well. Can you describe what it's like?
Sure. So when you look at a playground, there's a lot of attributes which are carrying over to our parks. For example, balance, coordination, social interaction, motoric function, cognitive development, which is just a fancy word for meaning how do I get efficiently from A to B? So we took falling out of the equation and we put it back in. Falling into the water, right? It's fun. And there's just something simply magical about people falling into the water. I mean, there's all these game shows and the history, and it puts smiles. So it's a great spectator thing to look at and stuff. So yeah, the products are challenging, but it allows people to take a risk. You're running against somebody, they're running towards you, you're playing tag, you're climbing up a rope climb. So it's really promoting movement. My background's actually in kinesiology, so I'm a big fan of this kind of movement. And we can very easily see which kids are playing on a sports team and which are basically, playing on their phones all day. The other interesting thing is our demographics. We have people from 4-year-olds to 84-year-olds playing on our products. And there's simply not many things that a grandfather can do with his granddaughter, and they're both having fun. So our demographics is really unique, and that's allowed us to be, I think, global. But yeah, so the products are challenging, definitely. But we like this. We call it friendly competition. You know, you're racing your best friend or your father or mother or as a family and stuff. So, and of course, it's a lot of fun as well.
I think that, yeah, there are definitely some things in life that, as much as you want to be competitive, you kind of know it's can only be about the fun at the end of the day. You mentioned there are TV shows that have these types of inflatable water parks. And that's where my understanding of them has come from as well. So you can see how easy it is to make a little mistake and fall into the water, but that people are laughing as they do it, and they get back up and they keep trying. It's definitely something I think I would enjoy. Maybe not the more difficult ones, but I think it would be fun to test my balance and my core strength, the older I get. But talking about all of that, Robert, you know, how physical it is, as well as you mentioned the social interaction, and how engaging it can be, whether it's between friends and family, or maybe even people that don't even know each other, you know, kind of encouraging relationship building between particularly young people. How do you also consider the safety aspect? I mean, you said it's safer to fall into water than perhaps on a hard ground, but there are obviously other aspects to safety, and also inclusivity as well. You know, how does it play much of a part, or is it just
Sure.
somehow easily it just occurs because of
So
the design?
I'll come to that in a second, but here's an interesting story about, you mentioned bringing people together. So there was this one lady who came out of the park, and as she was coming out, she cut her toe on a sharp rock as she was exiting, and the operator, you know, quickly came to her rescue and gave her a bandage, and she thanked them with a coffee, and 3 months later they got married. So we've even brought people together in that way as well. So yeah, but for as far as safety goes, we take that very seriously, and we have this safety first policy. My German partner, Roman Rademacher, he's the former vice chairman in the European Union on safety. Everything is German TUV approved. You pay a license on those products, so things like entrapment, warning labels. You know, and our record, I guess, speaks for itself. We've been very fortunate over the last 30 years. But we do take it very diligently as far as doing the safety side. Regarding inclusion, um, back to the difficulty, Wibit are actually non-skilled activities, not like when you're going skiing for the first time or wakeboarding, but it's very non-skilled. And regardless of your religion background, your social status, the color of your skin, your ethnicity, whatever that is, it doesn't make a difference. Wibit is simply for everybody. And that's one of the pleasures that we have personally is being able to bring so many backgrounds together.
And I think particularly in this MENA region as well, as we've mentioned, you have what some people may see as a challenge, but having two demographics of locals, and then you know, visiting guests, tourists, international visitors. But the attractions here really do think about how to offer something for everyone. And that's also concerning age as well as, you know, background and religion, as you said. So I think your, you know, kind of goals and philosophy lean very align themselves rather with, you know, the MENA region and how it's growing. But you actually there's another range of products you have sort of coming away from the large obstacle style courses. something that I think is a little bit more me, and I can see being really popular, just as popular in the MENA region as the inflatable parks. And this is your, I think I'm pronouncing it right, Luft, and you call it floating comfort. That's very me, Robert. And I can see these are for people who, yeah, want to just enjoy the water, but in a more calm experience. Those who maybe don't want that action, and with the rise in the rise of tourism and how popular and how many hotels and resorts we have in the region as well, I can see these products being quite popular. But where do you see Wibit growing? How do you see Wibit growing within the MENA region? Are there any things you're working towards, like you can speak about, or just kind of in general, how you see Wibit within the region in the next, 5 to 10 years?
Sure. So just quickly about the Luft brand, it's really about chill and relaxing on the water, and we've taken that, we think, to a different level, from floating couches, floating cabanas. You have all of these floating items, and it's really supposed to be not just for the luxury, it's ergonomically very enjoyable to relax in this way as well. So we're happy to have that line of products under that umbrella called Luft, which is a German word for air. Everything we do is actually with air. That's where the name comes from and stuff as well. So what we're really excited about is we're looking at doing amphibianization, taking something from the land to the water in a theme park style. So we're coming out with this new concept called Wibit Water World. So we're looking to hold up to 3,000 people simultaneously on the water. So try to think Disneyland in the water. And it's something that we are planning to launch in the next 1 or 2 years. We've had some interest from the MENA region already. And we believe it's something that's really going to be more than just fun on the water. It's going to be basically a little bit of everything. And if you can just imagine, we'll have like, these lazy rivers going all around the park, similar to a monorail system on the land. You go to these different areas. Something for the 4 to 6 year olds. We'll have, let's say, an area where you play floating volleyball on the water, polo goes on the water. Um, these kinds of competitive, let's say, tracks where you race against your friends. So this is something we're really excited about, and probably in the next 1 or 2 years, we'll be hearing a lot more about this out in the media as well. So
That sounds incredible, and I'm sure a lot of hard work from, every individual within Wibit has had to have gone, into that. Obviously imagining it in my head and thinking about what I already understand about Wibit's products and the large courses. And it's interesting, it's the reverse of a water park, whereas it's a land destination and they bring water to it, whereas you've got the water there and you're bringing the fun to that. So yeah, I can only imagine at this stage, but we'll be waiting, watching to see what that's like. And gosh, you could spend the whole day there, multiple days there. Almost sounds like a city, building a city on water.
and you mentioned it already, a water park is on the land, and our vision has always been, why does it have to be on land? We believe a water park should be in the water.
So finally, as we're kind of still talking about growth, we've spoken about, Wibit's growth and the MENA region. As a proud member of Menalac, Robert, and as I said at the beginning, we cross paths at events, which you're proud to attend, passionate to attend, and a really great advocate for Menalac. Interested to, after our discussion about all of this growth, how do you also see Menalac growing as the region's sector grows, as it expands, as it morphs, what do you see the role of Menalic being, or how it maybe needs to change as the region
Sure.
grows?
So Menalac is not just representing the industry in the MENA region, it's actually shaping the industry. When people ask me what's going on in the MENA region, I'm like, well, if you look at Menalac, you'll see what's happening. And, boy, have they grown over the last, 7, 8 years have we been following them. If you just look at the members, Zamperla, Mailers, Mattel, they have all of the key players in our amusement industry under that umbrella. So I see Menalac as a real catalyst, almost threefold. They're bringing these global investment groups with the locals. They're introducing all of these, let's say, safety seminars. They're bringing talent to the region. They're setting also these standards for quality in the MENA region. So they're also promoting, hey, here's what we believe amusement should be in our demographic. And of course, they're bringing all of this networking under one umbrella as well. So I think it's a great platform, to learn about the region if you're not familiar, to meet the right people if you're not well connected, and of course, to learn about what does it take if you're doing any kind of industry with within ours as far as what needs to be done from the service quality and safety side as well. So yeah, so they're definitely the major player in the region.
From my feelings about Menalic is, if you're from outside of the MENA region and you're interested in coming to it and enhancing and growing the leisure industry, it maybe can be a bit daunting. Even if you do have experience in another market within the globe, Europe or North America. Yeah, there's just maybe not as much being spoken about over the past, 30 years, 40 years about the region. And so it can be nervous, but of course you want to try. So that's, kind of where MENALAC is, like you've said, for those people interested in coming to the MENA region and growing their brand there, but also because it's a council for the industry, by the industry, it's led by passionate leaders like, yourself. We've got a fantastic uh, board and who it's cyclical. That passion of growing Menalac then helps the region grow and it just comes back around as well. So, it definitely is going to be a role that continues to grow along with the region. And there's lots of new things inserting themselves in the region. We've got the likes of gaming, and as we've spoken about today, a lot more aquatic interest and huge attractions we're seeing, as again mentioned, like in Saudi Arabia. And so moving over to North Africa, what's going to happen there as well. So it's a very exciting time, very fast moving time as well. Do you feel that, Robert? Do you feel things move quicker nowadays than they did at the beginning, or is it just the same?
Sure, definitely. And again, Menelac is fostering this talent movement and education as well. And what I always liked about the region is they're so ambitious. It's never enough and things can't get done sooner. It's so I really like that passion behind it, that dedication. So yeah, so I see things, moving faster and faster. So that's very exciting.
Well, I'm excited to see how Wibit can elevate the aquatic leisure and entertainment here in the region. I'm particularly excited to. Oh, it's annoying. I have to wait a while though, Robert, 1, 2 years to see this kind of floating theme park. But I'm sure the time will pass very quickly. In the meantime, I'm sure there'll be more news about Wibit. Thank you so much, Robert. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you for taking the time over in Croatia that you are at the minute. But I know you're a jet setter, so you'll be somewhere else in the next couple of months in that role as global ambassador for Wibit. So thank you so much.
And thank you, and see you again on the water.
Audience, make sure you check out Wibit Sports' website and social media channels to discover their full range of aquatic experiences. I think it is crucial to witness for yourself the scale of fun and adventure their parks provide. Don't forget to follow Menalac on it or on its digital channels. You will find all of the links, Menalac's and Wibit, in the description section of this episode. Thank you to everyone watching or listening. Make sure you are subscribed to Member Musing so you're notified as soon as a new episode drops. Until then, why not catch up on previous conversations with leading leisure leaders? And I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.